it's obvious. I don't talk to people in Green Bank on a daily basis. I'm probably not in Green Bank over a dozen times a year, and most of the time that's to do with something that I'm going up there to look at or be around. However, I talk to people in Arlington on a daily basis, several people. I talk to people in Hillsborough normally on a daily basis, you know. And that's not because I like them better or I dislike y'all, it's just because that's the people I'm around on a daily basis. And I feel the majority of the people I have talked to says move forward. Now I agree, they're not in Green Bank, they're not smelling it, it's not beside their house. If it was, I'm sure their mind would probably be changed. That's why it's so difficult to put anything in Pocahontas County. Because regardless of where you want it, where it's located, how it's put in, somebody is going to find fault with it. You know, it either don't look good, it's contaminating the water, it smells bad, it's too loud, it smokes. I mean, the quarry right there at Mill Point has been an issue for years with people. I lived beside it my whole life. It never bothered me a bit. I was more than happy to have it there. Yes, I've got up and the dust be so thick you couldn't even see across the road in mornings. But I deal with it my whole life. I own 2 pieces of property there, I still deal with it on a daily basis. If that was to come to Green Bank, how many people would be against that? You know, that's the point I'm getting at. I feel the majority of the county thinks that we need anything we can get at this point. And I realize there are people going to be suffering from it. And I hate that. I really do. And you can believe it or you don't, I don't really care.
What do we get? That's my question. What are we getting? Do you know?
Well, what's going to happen?
How many jobs are we getting?
Well, we may not be getting any jobs, but this is the question that I have. What's going to happen if Stanton, Virginia, down Greenbrier County, walks in and says no more septic? What are we going to do with it then? Take it up on Sharp's Knob and dump it over the hill?
940 square miles.
Dump it in Green Bank.
I'm just telling you. You tell me there's no private property for sale anywhere. There's no farmland for sale that there's not a house or the town's not right on. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm not telling you that.
Well, why don't you sell him some of your land and put it there?
It's less to do with which land specifically that is before this commission. What is before this commission is a responsibility and an opportunity to promote economic development in a way that I feel will integrate well with that area of the Green Bank community.
How is that going to integrate? How does the sewer integrate next to houses and businesses? How does that integrate?
And one hope I have is that since there's such a challenge to haul sewage to right now in Stanton and other places, Elkins used to take it, they're not now if I understand correctly, that if and when Snowshoe's plant is completed, that it would be able to take sewage from Mr. Mack more locally. That would save him costs, that could help him assure the employment and the continued employment of the employees he has, and it could lead to further employment. This is about helping a business which has about 10 or so full-time employees from our county. I can't sit here in front of you and tell you that I'm going to shut down that kind of an economic opportunity.
He's not going to shut down. So.
Jamie, did you see what was passed? Did you actually see those 6 tanks when you all voted on it?
I did not see it before we voted on it.
Don't you think you should have looked?
Well, I had talked to Jacob prior to that.
And he never told you about it?
He never told me about no open pit tanks, no sir.
So he slipped it in on you, didn't he?
Well, you'd want to...
That's why we're asking you to take back your vote, because it was deceptive. This is a fraudulent thing. This is illegal, Jamie.
I mean, I'm a firm believer that we need to follow through with however can be done legally. I agree with that 100%.
Well, and that's all we're asking, is just put it up to a vote.
I need to check into that, talk to some people. I've talked to a lot of people, but I've put in a lot of circles. I've talked to you several times.
Oh, I know, and I've been straightforward with you.
Right. And I think I've been straightforward with you, am I not?
Yes, absolutely. The concern I've got is, when you told me you had not even looked at this diagram that you paid for. You paid Beveridge for that.
We paid Beveridge for a survey of 9 acres.
But
the drawings of figures and ponds and tanks were not done by our surveyor.
So it wasn't an engineering study at all.
And what year was that study done in?
I don't know the year.
We were told at a meeting that it was 2008. So you've known for 4 years.
No, that survey was conducted last year.
That's what Mr. O'Brien, Mike O'Brien, said at a meeting last Thursday.
He had it kind of totally wrong.
We're going to move on to the next speaker. That would be you, Mr. McNally.
We went to a meeting, Mike O'Brien ran the meeting, said that,
What meeting was this?
when was that, the senior
Last Thursday.
citizens, yeah. That what we were all circulating with petitions was only half-truths. That the diagrams that we got our hands on after the fact, that those weren't the plans, that there's
Those are the plans.
non-agreement. Did y'all
We've
hear
got him
that?
on tape, we can prove it.
I mean, he said there are not the plans, showed us a picture,
The drawing is the logistics.
showed us a picture of a concrete thing that might hold a 100,000 gallon tank. It might be covered because they didn't want rainwater in it. It kind of looks like the one up at Snowshoe. The woman asked, could you tell us where to go to look at one? He said, no, there's nothing like what we want. It seems like you guys voted on something you didn't know what you voted on. I mean, that's what they told us at a meeting. And I'd like to ask you, please rescind your vote. You voted on something you didn't know what you were doing. You got led down the garden path. And last meeting, James Carpenter was here. He talked about that's industrial land. It's zoned for industrial. It's 30 years of sitting there with a big sign, industrial sites, industrial sites. Is septage considered industrial, or junkyards considered industrial? I never heard of that as described that way. Now at this meeting, no, it's not called industry, it's called economic development. You know, that sign there says commissioner. I don't know, I don't have a dictionary, but I think the root word of that is community. Commissioner, I think that's taken from the word community. What you seem to have accomplished is really dividing a nice community. You pitted a lot of people against each other. It's unbelievable.
My perspective is that we're making possible an opportunity for economic development in a community.
And my perspective is you split this community up defiantly. You didn't talk to us. And you could say, oh, I called you back. But, you know, last year when this issue came up, it didn't get a second. It wasn't voted on. And that was it. Well, then at the last minute we find out, oh no, this is back on the agenda. We're going to ramrod this. We're going to have a meeting. You're going to have this whether you like. This is basically my opinion. You're going to give us whether we like it or not. There's nothing we have to say. Nothing we can say to you to change your mind. You've made up your mind. You went down to that meeting on Thursday. You went along with the party line down there at Green Valley Economic Development Corporation. That's where your loyalty seems to be, not with us.
That's not true. I brought the idea to them.
No. I got a letter here from them to you. They brought the idea back to you.
Yes, Mr. Meck presented to them. I was there. And the board voted to write a letter from here. That's me as a board member.
So this didn't receive a second last year. And in order to bring it back up, and in order to shove it down everybody's throats in Greenbank, it should have been a unanimous decision, not a 2-3. I mean, that's not.
County commissions don't work that way.
Yeah, but that's not really representative democracy. Come on.
Well, then talk to the state legislature. They appointed they set the rules for county commissions.
Does it
and a
stink?
majority
Yeah,
of
it
those
stinks.
Is what decides.
You'll never convince me.
Okay.
And Mr. Meck made a comment the other day at a business in Greenbank. He said, in 3 weeks I'll be pushing dirt around over there. Does that sound like you guys are going to talk about this anymore? Or
I don't know what that comment means. The next GVDC board meeting, regular scheduled meeting, is roughly a month from March 15th.
And we called the state Secretary of State for West Virginia, and we said, how many signatures do we need on a petition to get it put on the ballot? He said, you know, that's such a gray area, we can't give you an answer. Whatever you have is enough. Well, so I'm ready to submit it right now.
The ballot issue, if you followed the Marcellus discussions at length, I brought to the commission the idea about putting Marcellus on the ballot. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, but Marcellus isn't about public land. This is public land.
It's about the balloting process. Now, the county commission has only one way, it turns out, to put something on the ballot, and that is to get approval from the state legislature on any issue.
The voters can, not the county commissioner, not the county commission. The voters can put it on the ballot. We, the people.
That's not
who
true.
you work
That's
for.
what we're going to do.
That's what we're
voters can
gonna
ask
do.
for it to be on the ballot.
And are you discounting the fact that there's an injunction? Are you just gonna ignore that? Or you're not even concerned about that?
But that's a legal matter before the commission. So of course we're going to be considering it.
My understanding is you're insured by a bond company. And if you're subpoenaed as a defendant, then that bond company has to represent you, and that's gonna affect your insurance rate. Is that something you wanna go to court forever and ever and ever
Mr.
about?
McNally, quite simply,
You're gonna do this
while
no
there
matter
are,
what.
there are those who don't ever want to be a county commissioner, I enjoy the job because I have the opportunity to advance economic development and decision-making on a level that affects communities, and in this case, I think for the better.
Please, Jamie, rescind your vote. Please, because we're not gonna ever get anywhere with him, but you seem reasonable. Martin said no. You do yourself a big favor and rescind it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McNally. Marilyn Norris? When we get to the end of the list, Max.
I'm Marilyn Norris, and I live in the Green Bank area. I've lived here for about 5 years. It's beautiful, of course.